This one gets controversial. Strap in. Hollywood is a business. Businesses have to make money. In fact, the profit is the primary goal. The product is the secondary. Evidence of this can be seen in its rampant merchandising, theme parks, pointless spin-offs, and sequels. But arguably one of Hollywood's most prevalent schemes at the moment is remakes. Now, a remake is very simple. You take a property people already know, you remake it, or you relaunch the series or the franchise. Notable remakes that are liked are Dredd, Ocean's 11, The Thing, and The Magnificent Seven. In fact, most of the biggest blockbusters today are remakes or relaunches. While there have been failures in terms of fan reception, normally at the box office, Hollywood's new bout of remakes haven't failed. The most obvious two examples being the Star Wars and Jurassic Park series, but others, including the failed Dark Universe franchise, Solo, and the now slightly tarnished Hobbit series, directed by and masterminded by Peter Jackson, have arguably made money, but in terms of fan reception, aren't profitable long term. Essentially, if you shovel shit at someone for too long, they'll bat it back at you. Or in a polite way, they won't go and see your shitty films. Speaking of Peter Jackson, with apart from the now tarnished Hobbit, he's been very successful at taking well-known, established and beloved properties and turning them into well-made films. Hang on, there's a note here. Don't talk about Mortal Engines. His biggest achievement is the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but other achievements include The Adventures of Tintin, District 9, and They Shall Not Grow Old, where he most notably painstakingly coloured, speed-corrected and foleyed World War I film. This set off a new bout of rumours about one of Jackson's longest-running projects, a remake of The Dam Busters, with multiple articles. Arguably, a genre of film that has become less prevalent in recent years, like the Western and the musical, is the war film. Yes, films like Dunkirk in 1917 were successful, but a quick IMDb search reveals that most of the most successful war films of all time were made well over 30 years ago, and that any recent successes mainly come from the early 2000s. This is odd, as the great scenery, action, stakes, stories, and cold hard one-liners should thrill modern audiences, as they did from literally the end of the war until the golden age of war films in the 70s. But for some reason, Hollywood doesn't think so. Arguably, one of the greatest war films of all time is 1955's The Dam Busters. It recounts the epic events of Operation Chastise, which occurred on the 16th to the 17th of May 1943, in which No. 617 Squadron, led by Wing Commander Guy Gibson in a pack of 19 Lancasters, destroyed two of Germany's Ruhr hydroelectric dams with a specially designed bouncing bomb, crippling the Nazi war machine's ability to manufacture weapons of war. The film portrays the heroics of Gibson, played by Richard Todd, the tenacity of Barnes Wallace to get his bomb built, and the sheer unparalleled bravery of the crews of the 19 Lancs, as they go through an onslaught of machine gun fire, right through the Ruhr itself, up to the Great Dams. It's an iconic piece of cinema, and the now famous Ruhr strafe even inspired the trench run from A New Hope and arguably the final blow to the Death Star in Return of the Jedi. To put it simply, this is a great film. Its only limitations are that it isn't fully accurate, but that's because classified documents hadn't been released at the time, and the special effects can be slightly comical. This in effect should be a 2020 risk-free Hollywood remake. Tell the real story, the unclassified one. Add in the magic of modern filmmaking like we've seen in 1917 and Dunkirk, and you're on your way to the Oscars faster than you can say.
If we can surprise them, then we'll play hell with them.
But there is a problem, and it's arguably halted production for the last decade. The problem is this dog. Now at this point I've taken the decision to just put the dog's name on screen. As you can see, that might be quite problematic. Now when I was a kid, I was effectively told it was a bad word and that you shouldn't say it. And literally every other kid who has watched it has gone through that. It comes on at the start in the new 4K one. You read it, you understand the fact it was bad at the time, and to be fair, I think most people have known that the N-word is a bad word for a long time, except we do still use it in film. I mean, it's not exactly like you've never heard the N-word uttered in a film, and arguably it was 1940s England. There was going to be some racism. N-word was the dog of Wing Commander Guy Gibson. In the film, he is tragically run over and killed on the morning of the raid. He was also a crucial part of the raid, as the code word for a successful breaking of one of the dams was N-word. As you can see, this makes it hard to actually remove the dog from the film, because he actually plays such a crucial part in it. This, as you can see, gives Peter Jackson quite a dilemma. Does he either keep the name, preserving history and the 1955 film, or does he bow to political correctness and the modern age and call the dog something like Trigger or Digger? The name of the dog, I genuinely believe, isn't meant to be derogatory. Obviously, it is a derogatory word. But Gibson genuinely did love the dog, as seen famously in the film. Arguably, whether or not we get a Dam Busters remake doesn't really matter anymore. The debate has come into the real world when in July of 2020 at RAF Scampton, where the raid launched from, the dog's name was scraped from its grave, causing online uproar. So there you have it, the Dam Busters dilemma. Make a great film or bow to political correctness. Peter Jackson does have a dilemma on his hands, but I hope that if he does decide to go through with it, he'll make the right decision. And no, I don't want it in 3 fucking parts.